You've been all over the Google story and from a number of lenses here. What do you make of the evolution of the policy?
So what's really fascinating is that Google has put its entire iteration of 20 years of its policy online for anyone to see, with all of the different changes tracked. So you can watch as, each year this thing evolves. And what I think is really fascinating is that it sort of tells the story of the modern internet. The first privacy policy is 600 words. It's very folksy. It's very easy to understand. We help you search. Sometimes we're going to get some of your information. We don't store it. And if you look at that evolution throughout the years, you get to watch sort of the rise of smartphones and connected devices and this understanding of, tracking location and things like that. And now when you look at the policy in 2019, 20 years later, it's completely different. It's, well over 4,000 words. It's complicated. We're collecting so much information. So it really is a story about, the surveillance economy and the modern internet, which is built on tracking users.
You make the point that the biggest recent overhaul has really been in response to GDPR, which we've talked about a lot on this program. Why do you think it's been so influential?
Well, I think it's just something that, they absolutely have to include broadly because, there are some serious rules and penalties in place. But I also think this is sort of setting the table for a new way that we're going to these companies are going to try to think about policy going forward. I think that there's a lot of talk in Washington, D.C., and I think the companies are really preparing for this moment and sort of trying to figure out how to structure those policies.
Charlie, as someone who reports on, analyzes, and tracks privacy and privacy issues where tech is concerned as fervently as you do, what do you think of the Peter Thiel comments about Google working with China and the association with the Chinese military? And then I guess even more meaningfully, President Trump saying that his administration is going to look into that.
I think that there's a real pattern here with the way that the right and sort of the pro-Trump world is looking at big tech, which is that there's a kernel of truth to basically all of what's being talked about here. Whether it's something like bias, algorithms are biased inherently. Whether it's this specific claim about China, all workers are inherently vulnerable to outside assets. But the theme is here that there isn't really a lot of concrete evidence to a lot of these accusations. These things are sort of gut level feelings, perhaps. And when we don't have that sort of very real, very, very serious claims, I just don't think it's wise for an administration to act on that.
Finally, sort of hopping onto the Thiel news and the president's tweet earlier in the week, I wonder, do you think the administration, on a net basis, favors Facebook because of the connection to Thiel and the criticism of Google we've seen in the past?
Oh, you see, I think that the entire sort of 2020 ramp up is going to really hinge on an anti-Silicon Valley initiative, on an anti-big tech initiative. I think it's something that has a pretty broad tent. That can bring in people. This is a pretty controversial administration, but the policy of going up against big tech is something that is I think a lot of people can get behind. So I think this is going to be a really important thing. I don't think that there is a favorability towards Facebook. I think that there is a populist sentiment that these companies are large, they're unchecked, and I think that honestly both sides of the aisle are going to try to ride that in 2020.